Let's move on to the light heavyweight division.
I like this. This is a fun division
And
right now.
you really can't talk about it much without John Jones.
Let's start again. I know you're a huge component.
So, John Jones is great.
Yes.
He's one of the greatest. To me, I don't know that anyone's ever going to be able to be the greatest because Anderson Silva, even with losses that he could stack up at the end of his career, I don't think I'm ever going to admit to anyone that Anderson Silva is not the greatest.
No.
But you cannot deny what John Jones has done. He's pretty much never ever lost.
Yep.
He's beaten the best, and by some accounts, while not trying too hard.
At least looking like he wasn't trying hard, I can tell you that.
Yeah, I think that he's so important to MMA because he's so good, or to UFC even in more particular. But I also think he's been hurtful.
Yeah.
And all that's been self-deprecating.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm curious how you feel about his legacy, specifically how recent events, they just had to move his last card from Vegas to LA or to California because he couldn't get licensed in Vegas in time because he had a positive test. And everyone's saying it's okay that he has a positive test. How does all of that affect the way you feel about him?
Yeah, so this goes back. I mean, one, watching John Jones growing up, and obviously I got to see a lot of his live fights when he was in his prime. I missed a lot of live ones. Overall, this is just a gifted man that was made for this sport. He makes it entertaining. Yes, has there been a lot of things in the past that have hindered his visibility to the public, myself, anything else? I think recently, with the testing and the moving and all of that, they are trying to keep this golden goose Willy Wonka egg as clean as they can because everybody's like, we cannot let this crack again. If we have one more bad thing with John Jones that's out loud in front of everybody, we're never going to get this opportunity again. They had him come back. You had the finish over DC. You still had the complications. You had him not be able to train.
Hell, it was one of the complications. I mean, the fight was overturned.
It was overturned. He's training in his garage waiting to be able to train back at Jackson Wink. But you got a guy that has probably about 80% of the marketability as Conor McGregor for fights in several divisions. So they don't want to risk anything. Now, do I think the way it looked to the public moving that fight and the persona of John's legacy didn't help, but I don't think right now anybody's sitting around going, that's super fucked up. I don't think John Jones should fight at all this year. I think 90% of fans, whether they know John Jones or they just know the name, they want to see him fight. And they want to see what he can do because he's 31. He's got a ton of time left. He's already done insane amount of legacy and wins, from all the way back in the Matt Hamill days with the 12 to 6 elbow, which he shouldn't have had that overturned, to knocking out guys that were the scariest guys in the divisions and making them look like kids. So
or just dropping Lyoto Machida.
Just
looks lifeless. Oh my goodness.
I love going around just doing a fake standing Machida with friends. You're just like, could you just realize how intense that is? This is the highest level fighters ever, and you choked out a guy that most of the time was either kicking people's teeth in the air or doing crazy high kicks, and you just choked him out and said, hey, I think he might be out.
Yeah,
I'm going to let him go.
Just drop his lifeless body to the ground.
No, I mean, with me, man, I hope all well for John Jones now and for his career. I don't want anyone else pissing on what he's already pissed on himself, but I honestly think this is the last hurrah. No more fuck-ups. Everything's got to be as clean as possible, and and I don't want to use the word clean, I think smooth, no bumps in the road. He walks through the light heavyweight forever, and then he moves to heavyweight and does well, and then he goes out exactly what you think, one of the greatest fighters or the greatest fighter of all time.
Yeah, like you said, it certainly can't help. Having to move everyone else's, all these other fighters, all these fans, that's a lot bad of money. Look. Yeah, it costs a lot of people a lot of money because the taxes in Vegas are not the same as in California. I mean, it's
people's hotel rooms, flights.
It's a big
rental
deal.
Cars.
Big deal. It's not good.
Was it needed?
I don't know.
Honestly.
It's on the people who are making the decisions. I guess you have to preemptively, inform them on these things that may happen because they've experienced with other sports, but with other fighters or other athletes in other sports. But the idea of it all just sucks. He has these things. They got in there somehow.
Oh yeah.
I mean, no matter how they got in, they got in there.
They're in there.
And the fact that, telling them ahead of time that, hey, they'll show up, but it's okay. It's tough.
And with John's past, that's the thing. If this is anybody else, you're going, this is strange, but they obviously know what they're doing. Anything that involves any testing, and you include John Jones's name, going back to what I said earlier, man, it sucks. The negativity has fucked so much good that could go into with the John Jones in general.
Yeah, I think...
And I love the guy. I love watching him fight. I love everything else. I hate the negativity because people fuck up. But we put a label and we always keep that asterisk in the back of our mind because we're human. So in turn, you're never not going to think about the past with John Jones. Yeah. Just like you're never not going to think about, the girl that bashed the girl's knee in on the skating back in the Lipinski and everything. You're never not going to think about her hiring somebody to take a pipe to another girl's leg so she can win.
She is.
Just think of that. You're never not going to think about that when you bring that name up.
Yeah, I think that this last instance
what a fucking connection.
Probably didn't do that much damage.
I don't.
Compared to the past. He had to, because of that bullshit, and he had to move UFC 233 for everyone.
No.
I think that there's gonna be people who don't care at all. There's people who don't give him a chance at all. Yeah. I think most people,
which is reality.
Yeah, and I think that most people are gonna say that, you know what, it happened, even if it did.
Yeah.
The fact that he's voluntarily, well, I guess voluntarily, submitted himself to now a third testing agency, and all of these testing agencies are going to, it's all public knowledge, his results, gives me some hope.
Yeah.
I think that's all good moves, but it's just, it is what it is.
Yeah,
I don't think that any more of these positive tests, all of the scientists have come out and said that it's not a big deal, that he's shown that these things are showing up, and that these low levels of these long-term metabolites don't have any kind of positive effect on his current performance. So I think that's about all that needs to be said on that.
Yeah. Well, that stuff's so technical, and you again, like anything else, you don't ever know what you can believe.
Yeah, you got to take their word for it, because I'm not doing it.
Because I'm sure as hell not smart enough to do it. Hell.
All right, so
man,
tonight or this next pay-per-view, John Jones is fighting against Lionheart.
Oh, my buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go through that, because I know we are both excited to watch that fight. Why are you excited to watch it?
So number one is I followed Anthony Smith for a long time. I followed him back from his amateur days. I don't know why I did. I think I just latched on because I liked his style of fighting. Maybe it was the tats. Maybe it was the Lionheart name.
Lionheart's badass.
Badass name. He's got a chest tat with a lion on it. Pretty cool. I'm probably not ballsy enough to do that, but no, I think the big thing that's cool about this is Anthony Smith come up from middleweight, which, everybody gave him shit, and then a lot of people got...
He's a huge middleweight,
He's a huge fucking middleweight, and I think that's what people were trying to get at in the beginning. Santos, inside liver kicked him, dropped him, he lost it, and Santos is a vicious middleweight. But I think also is he...
Fucked up Victor Lombard?
He fucked up Victor Lombard. I think he realized that this is the right weight class for me. I'm coming in. I'm fighting these big guys. Now, look, I'm not going to be biased with him. He got to the contender belt really quick. The reason why, who the fuck else is going to fight John Jones if it ain't DC? There's no one else that's Jones or DC haven't demolished. Gustafson's had his chance twice. It's just, you had to put new blood in, and here's the deal. Okay? I don't care what you say about Shogun. Yeah, he's later in his career. Shogun is still somebody that you cannot underestimate. Okay, yeah, Rashad Evans was basically a commentator. He still was somebody at one time that was murdering people and just, could take your lights out. And then you got somebody that is coming up that's a new name. It's obvious. He's going to win some bigger fights, and then give him a chance. And guess what? If he fucks up and gets starched by Jones, then you can say, "Are bad." It's an entertaining fight. He's passionate. He doesn't talk a lot of shit. He's very just about his job. And then you have someone completely opposite like John Jones, which you already know what he's done. It's a matchup we haven't seen. I will admit, I think probably Anthony needed one more fight at lightweight. But again, who's he going to fight? Is he going to fight? You got Volkan that he
just
beat.
fought Volkan.
So I mean, where are you going to have after that?
He just knocked out Rashad. He knocked out Shogun. So those are two older guys.
We'll give you that. But
right.
Volkan's up and
so
coming.
then who else do you put him up against? You put him up against Volkan, and then he beats him. And it wasn't the knockout. It was a good fight, and he was winning the whole fight, and then he finished it with a submission. I mean, it was a good fight. I am a big Lionheart fan. He is fun to watch. Yeah. But I don't know who else you put him up against. I mean, unless it's Gustafsson, but at that point, who is John fighting?
Well, that's what I'm saying is if you don't have him fight John, you're not going to have anyone fighting John. You're
right.
going to be waiting, and you're going to have
Gus be the next contender.
Well, then here's this problem we have. Okay, so John fights Anthony, or Gustafsson fights Anthony. Fucks Anthony up or wins.
Yeah,
however,
then who fights John?
Then we got Gustafsson right back in, and then guess what people are going to say? Then what are we doing? They have to line up the entertaining fights.
Yeah, that is the best title fight right now at the light heavyweight division.
Only other fight I could have seen him going against is maybe Corey Anderson, because Corey's been on a 3-win streak since he got head kicked by OSP.
Right, but the people Corey's fought in the last 3 are not as good as the people that
maybe Ilir Latifi, but Ilir Latifi also has not been really doing well in the last 2 years either. I mean, I honestly think that would have been the only fight that would have made sense to say, okay, you know what? Go fight Corey Anderson to fight a guy that's similarly stylistic to John Jones as far as size.
That's the only other one to make. Yeah. But I had no problem with Lionheart. And the other thing is, Lionheart's had a ton of fights.
Oh, yeah, he's been around a long time.
Yeah, there's a lot. He's got a lot of experience. I don't think John's going to overwhelm him. I think that he's just going to be better than him. Well, so I see John winning this fight.
I definitely see John having the lead like always, but I also think when you have a guy that has nothing to lose, like Anthony Smith has nothing to lose here, he's going to go for broke, but not reckless. Anthony's never been reckless, but when he finds his opportunity, like the knee to Rashad, like the knockout to Volkan, Shogun, getting him in the corner and dropping 15 bombs on him and then finishing him out, he knows when to wait. Problem is, John Jones is something that it doesn't matter what you train for, you don't know what you're going to get. He has everything in the book. He's a Rubik's Cube, man. You can turn him 700 different ways. He's going to have a different color. I'm sorry. He's going to show you something different.
That is another reason why I'm excited to watch this fight, is because I just feel like we have not seen enough John Jones.
Yeah.
So another fight that's coming up that we are both interested in watching is Volkan Oezdemir is fighting Dominic Reyes.
Yes.
So let's talk a little about that one.
Yeah, because that's got a lot of... Well, let's talk about Volkan with his record and his back here lately. Going in, and then we'll get into Dominic, because Dominic's a new upcomer. So you got Volkan that obviously lost to DC, which, okay, that's a huge fight for that young man. He was coming up. He knocked out, Jimmy Manawa, and, he had the decision over in St. Preux coming in. Then he loses to Anthony, like we just said. Right. So he's coming off 2 back-to-back losses, and he's still trying to get into a contender series. What better to fight a guy that's a little bit lower than you coming up, who's been putting in the work? I mean, hell, what's Dominic on? A 7-8 fight winning streak right now?
Well, he's 9-0.
Okay, so he's undefeated. Yeah. I mean, I know those are amateur fights, so he's 5 or 6-0.
9-0 professional fights. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
how long
outside the
UFC.
organization. I mean, I'm sorry, not amateur. Outside of the UFC.
I'm not sure how many. It looks like maybe his last 4 have been in the UFC.
Okay. Yeah. So, but he's got an Oven St. Preux win there. Canner, that's another young guy coming up. That was a TK on him. Okay, so you got a young guy that's coming up that's definitely got good contention. He's undefeated. What better? You got a guy that is I wouldn't say Volkan's a knockout artist. I'd say he just...
No time. I'd say he is. I think he throws heavy hands.
He throws heavy hands, but I think since the DC loss in Anthony, he's definitely going to switch up his style. He's not going to get gassed out one. I mean, but how sick was it after the DC loss? He's in there punching a bag, still training, because he's like, I got to figure out how to be better. So that's my point.
That was a lopsided fight, man.
But think about that. That's only more motivation, especially then he loses to Anthony, who's
I was
now
surprised
fighting.
he got that title shot so quick. I thought that was even that was quicker than Anthony
Well,
Smith.
when he knocked out Jimmy Manawa, which Jimmy Manawa was a scary guy, and unfortunately I like Jimmy a lot. Jimmy's falling on some hard times right now. He's not getting the normal respect, and he's not winning the fights that he should.
Yeah, I think that Volkan got too much credit for a knockout over Manawa in less than a minute.
Yes.
And that vaulted him
now
up
you look
there
at Manawa.
now,
Think if Manawa lost what he's lost lately, and then Volkan does it, he doesn't get that. But it was an entertaining fight on paper. As always, there's no MMA math. You see what you see. So I think with losing to Cormier, which was huge motivation to learn that, hey, there is levels to this shit. Then we go in with Anthony Smith, lose to him on a sub. That sucks. Never had that happen here recently. Now I'm going to go face a completely different beast, which is an up-and-comer who undefeated, who definitely within 2 more wins could be in the top 3. Yeah. He could be fighting Anthony Smith, win or loss to John Jones here soon.
Right. Yeah, that's the last 2 fighters we've mentioned are Volkan and Anthony Smith. And in 2017, Volkan just shot up through the ranks.
And which happens.
Last year, Anthony Smith just shot up through the ranks. And I think Dominic Reyes could be that fighter this year. If he beats Volkan, he is going to just... He's the next undefeated young guy.
Yeah.
I don't know
He'll be top 5. He'll be 5.
I don't know if John Jones is the next fighter, but he gets a top 5 fight the next time, and after that, he fights for the title.
What if he fights Ian? What if he fights Ian Blachowicz?
Depending on how that fight with Santos goes.
Yeah, that's true.
I
know.
I think there's a lot of opportunities for Dominic Reyes to be the next guy at the middleweight division. Or not the middleweight division, light heavyweight division.
Yep.
He is the undefeated, so you can always throw that in the promotion.
Yeah, that's huge. He's a new face, like you said, so it's easily to get people latched on and like, this is a cool guy to watch.
And that's why I like to see this fight with Volkan, because he was the guy 2 years ago. Reyes is going to be the guy this year, I think. And it hurts to see Volkan take his 3rd loss in a row.
Yeah.
If Reyes does win that, I think Volkan is just a knockout artist. I really do.
Yeah.
I think that if he's not knocking you out, it's going to be tough for him to win. He does have some decision victories, but it's
which that's going to happen in the light and heavyweight.
Right. But I think this is a great fight, and I think that this either gets Volkan back on his feet, ready to go at the top division, or it just
cut.
I hope not cut.
No, I would hope not either.
Or it vaults Dominic Reyes right up there. So the winner of this is sitting pretty.
Okay. I like that.
What about fights that have not been made yet that you'd like to see made in this division?
Yeah. I put on there earlier when I was looking just to myself is with the Santos Dominic Reyes. I like that.
So that's after this fight? That's assuming a Reyes win?
Yeah. That's kind of what I'm thinking. The reason I like that is because I've always liked Thiago Santos just for his tenacity. He just, everything's bombs, hammer fist, in your face, all of that. Dominic, like I said, is kind of a tacticianer, man. I don't think he's really got a label yet, because he is what we talked about in the beginning. He's an upcoming fighter that is young, that had to learn so many different things. He's got to have so many different parts of his game. I watched a lot of his highlights from when he was in his first couple pro-ams and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's got a lot of first-round victories.
He's got a lot of first-round victories, yeah.
But I'm not sure the competition. I mean, he won by decision over OSP, and then before that, it's a first-round TKO, first-round submission, first-round TKO, first-round KO.
Yeah.
So he's got knockout power, and he's been winning.
Yeah. I mean, and like you said, being undefeated and on this tear. So, yeah, 100%. He beats Volkan. He's not going to fight. He might, you know how it is sometimes in the matchups. They don't always fight going up the ranks. They fight who's available. It's Joey Diaz. So who's available today? He's available today. That's what it basically comes down to, is who is available today that's healthy, that's ready to fight. So if he beats Volkan, who's even above Santos in the ratings, I think they might still line that up just because Santos is on a 4-win winning streak. Granted, he obviously had some middleweight fight before that. I think that's an entertaining fight because, like I said, Santos always steps forward. He's either going to get...
They're both looking for knockouts.
They're looking for knockouts. Yeah. And Santos is either going to come for your head or have his own taken. And Dominic, he's knockout artist, but I think he's smart.
Yeah, I don't hate this fight because Santos is smaller.
Yes.
but he is so much more experienced. And and
he's been
also
around a long
looking,
time. Yeah.
he's also looking for the knockout. This guy, he's a younger guy. He's a little bit bigger.
Yep.
He's gonna be a little bit more athletic. But it'll be interesting to see both looking for the knockout.
Yep.
Maybe smaller. But older, more experienced guy versus the younger guy.
And maybe Tank, too. He might have a better gas tank of that. Now, granted, he's been around, like you said, but experienced. Dominic's only had 4 fights, now going on 5 in the UFC. Santos has had very many more. Granted, a lot of them are middleweight, but he had to used to cut a lot of weight for middleweight. Like most middleweighters are 205ers.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they weigh well over 205.
They're lucky to get down to that. But if they move up to that 205 and they keep the power, they keep the size, they keep the gas tank, someone like Santos, again, I know I've said it over and over again, 3-4 fights from now, if he wins in that type of lineups, he could be in contention. So I like a fight like that because it's a younger guy versus a seasoned guy. They're both looking to take a chin off. Why not?
I like that fight.
Why not? So.
And we really struggled to come up with any other fights we wanted to see that
aren't already done.
Yeah, there's some fights scheduled. There's people who have already fought, and I guess my thing is, I just want to see John Jones fight all of these guys.
You just basically want to see Jones run through the lightweight even more than he already has.
He hasn't. That's the thing. He's sat out so much. Right now, DC is the number 1 contender according to the UFC's listing.
Yeah, they have to keep that in there.
Number 2, Gustafsson. Beat him twice.
He's out.
Anthony Smith.
He might, if he beats him here,
he's scheduled
gone.
to fight him.
I don't see Ian.
He has not fought Blachowicz. He's never fought Uzdemir. He's never fought Corey Anderson. He's never fought Thiago Santos. He's never fought Dominic Reyes. He's never fought Latifi. I don't think he's fought Jimmy Manua.
What I'm saying is this is a new lightweight division of new names. He's just going to run through it again like he did back in 2008, 9, 10.
I think that's the responsible thing for him to do. If he wants to move up to heavyweight,
make a name.
And it was the division it was years ago when he was the champion. That's fine. Move up to heavyweight right now. But right now in this division,
he's so young.
You have beaten the top 2 contenders multiple times and no one else.
Yep.
You need to beat the top 5 guys. You need to beat the top 6 or 7, and then go chase heavyweight and say I'm also the best at that.
By the way, I've cleaned this up. There's no one else that wants to fight. Well, and I think
that's why I want to see John Jones wait before he goes up to heavyweight because the division is new to him.
Oh yeah,
I feel robbed of years of being able to watch John Jones fight because he's been suspended for this reason or that, and I just want to see what I've been missing out on.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him fight 3-4 times a year for the next 2 years.
Well, yeah, like you said, right now, all top 10 guys he can fight that he's never fought, if they have fought, it's going to be an entertaining fight. Clears through them. I don't see many new lightweights coming in that are going to make a splash and be a name in 2 years. So give him 2 years. He's now 33. Demolishes this division like he always does. Then move up to heavyweight. Move up to heavyweight when you want to stop cutting weight. You're getting older. You want to go and do something different.
Unless you just want to take everything DC
I know,
ever had.
but that's the thing is you can't always go off that. He's chasing the DC, just putting you in the dirt, and no one ever know about your name. People are always going to remember fucking DC.
They'll remember
whether you like DC or not. You know,
they'll remember him for always losing to Jones.
Yeah, always to Jones. I beat you on cocaine. I beat you after
I
did
cocaine. Oh my God, Michael Johnson was losing his shit. Yeah. That was so funny.
But that's the thing is, it is truthful. It is. He did shit that you can never say you did.
Yeah,
you didn't beat me. Even if the paper or the fucking drug test or anything else, I beat you.
Every time.
Every fucking
time.
So
let's keep that up. Is there anyone else who's not in the top 10 who you see doing something in the light heavyweight division this year?
I do. Johnny Walker.
Yeah?
I think Johnny Walker has enough screws loose, one. I mean, the dude's crazy, but he's entertaining crazy.
In a badass name, I heard his name was Walker Johnny. And he changed it because he likes being called Johnny instead of Walker. So
I like that.
Johnny Walker.
I like that. No, I think the reason I say this is that this most recent and look, man, we've got on this like Anthony Smith. He's the new hot dude. I'm biased because I like him. He come up. Anthony could never be a name heard of again. Dominic Reyes is making a run. He could come up and never be heard again. I think Johnny comes in and continues to have these highlight fights. Like Justin Ledet is no fucking picnic when it comes. Justin Ledet at one point was undefeated in the lightweight, and he was hurting people bad. to knock him out with a spinning back fist and then to just absolutely put his head through the mat with one punch ever, and then starting the fight, he had his arms on the back of the cage just like this, waiting to start. This guy's got a whole nother atmosphere he's bringing.
He's down to fight, that's for sure.
He's down to
and
fight.
Before that, he knocked out Khalil Roundtree. I think Johnny Walker is going to make a splash in the light heavyweight division this year.
And he's going to need some more fights because he's going to need to face some people.
Well, he's getting them. He wants to fight a lot.
Santos is another one.
He's stepping in right now. He on short notice against Misha Serkinov. Ovince St. Preux had to drop out, and he is stepping in on 4 or 5 weeks notice, something like that.
He's had some injuries going on here, man. I worry because OSP is not getting any younger. And I love to watch him fight.
He's getting up there.
I love to watch him fight.
He has good submissions.
Yes. Oh, yeah, the Von Flue choke. That should be called the Von OSP choke, man.
Yeah,
Come on.
That's his move.
But it's the guy's always entertaining to watch. But, yes, that stepping in, again, this gives him a platform to, if he wins that fight, he's going to fucking fly up the rankings. Because Misha
He's fun, man, too. He's fun.
Well,
he's always dancing.
Yes, he's always dancing, smiling. He's got those haircuts that are always kind of fucking awkward. But yeah, I mean, he's going to fight a guy that he just dabbled in. He's going to dabble into the ranks. Misha, I don't know where to really go on it. He beat Cummings, Durkin, as they call him. I was never really impressed with him. I don't think he was high level. So if Misha beats a guy like Johnny Walker, who just came up and got this unreal fight, that could push Misha way up too. So both of these guys got a lot on the fucking line here with this fight. I mean, honestly, they really do.
Other than that, I mean, some guy I was excited just because of all the hype when he came into the light heavyweight division of the UFC is Gokhan Saki.
Right.
Gokhan, first of all, because of his name.
Yep, which is
straight Dragon Ball Z style. But also just his boxing history is so storied. I mean, he's greatness. He's such an awarded kickboxer, and he's 1 and 2 in MMA.
Yep.
And I feel like he needed to take some time in other promotions before he came to the UFC to adapt his game to MMA. Do you think he ever is a ranked fighter in the light heavyweight division in the UFC?
He could be. I know you brought up Khalil. A loss to Khalil like that. Khalil's a dangerous guy in that division. I think if he can get in and realize what his game works better, whether it's implementing more kickboxing, more maybe a tie clinch, maybe getting those guys inside, beating their legs up and keeping them from throwing bombs at him. I don't know because I have not seen enough of him, whether UFC or not. I've not seen enough of this style of fight where you got to have every type of fighting skill. You come from kickboxing alone, that's vicious enough. But you come in here where somebody can turn your neck in a neck crank, your knee inside out, finish you with a spinning move that you're not allowed to do. I think you give him one more fight against a guy that's a low contender and he gets confidence up and cleans him up. Maybe he could be. But it's a little too early for me personally to think, is he going to have a chance, is he not? I can't call that.
Yeah.
Because Khalil's a dangerous guy, but Khalil also is a guy that is gotten beat several times by guys possibly he should have beaten. So you can't go off of that. And, his first fight that he had in the UFC, he had a KO. That's awesome. That's first fight. You gotta get a little behind on your wheels. So who knows? Maybe the next guy he fights, maybe he's a little bit under Khalil. He absolutely cleans him up, starches him, or does something fun. But I think it's a game plan for him more than anything, especially in the lightweight, man.
I do too. I think it's game plan. I think it's coaching. I think that he clearly has knockout ability. I mean, we've both watched the knockouts.
Yeah.
He can light you up.
He's got as much hammer behind
but he's got to
hands.
figure out how to make it work for MMA. So the potential's there, but it's
not
too
the
early
youngest
to tell.
guy ever. I mean, he's in his prime at 35, but 3 years in the UFC in the lightweight division, that could be 10 years.
Yeah, I don't know that he's ever going to get up there to title contention, but I'd love to see him get.
There's a lot of killers to go through, but you never know, man. You get momentum.
Let's see. I guess I'd like to mention his name, Ryan Bader. We just saw him win the Bellator Heavyweight Grand Prix. He is the current Bellator Light Heavyweight Champion.
Yep.
Light heavyweight, yeah, I think that's what I said.
Yep.
And he is either a free agent or has one fight left on his contract.
Yeah, I think he's a free agent after the Fedor.
He is. I feel like the UFC could really use some guy like this. We've talked about all of the new faces that we'd love to see in the light heavyweight or the heavyweight divisions, and he is currently the title holder for both divisions in Bellator.
Yeah, which is huge.
My understanding is he's happy at Bellator. He's not interested in making any changes there.
He's gotten paid well there. He's gotten the respect. I mean, I got to give Coker a lot of respect he gives to his fighters. He takes care of them. I mean, for people that don't know, Bader came from the UFC, did a lot of big things in the UFC besides getting knocked out, by Machida there on that running punch. Guy knocked out a lot of big-time names and then moved over, and I think one of the big reasons is that was a transition in the lightweight division when you had John Jones. You had a lot of things happening to where maybe he wasn't getting the respect or the money that he thought he deserved, and he went over to Bellator, and they're like, hey, we're going to take good care of you. By the way, he gave it back by winning the lightweight title, by winning the Grand Prix.
Oh, yeah.
Whether you're going against a weathered Fedor or not, it's fucking Fedor. It doesn't matter if I have a 1997 Ford Ranger or this new 2019 Ranger. If I get hit by it, I'm going to get hurt. It's the same thing with Fedor. He could have easily knocked out Ryan Bader. Ryan Bader is probably at the top of his career right now at 35 than I've ever seen him. He looked better in that fight than I've ever seen him. And good for him.
And that's why I want to bring him up, is because I'd love to see him in matchups. A rematch against John Jones. He had lost to him previously in his career.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him in the heavyweight division. I think he's way more skilled than a lot of fighters in the heavyweight division in the UFC. And though I don't think he's going to leave Bellator, let's say
something bad happens.
I don't know. I would love to see a situation where there's some cross-promotional fight with champion versus champion, because
which we never know could happen. It could happen.
That's worth it. You look at all the fighters, like who the hell does John Jones fight next? Ryan Bader. If he's there, it's Ryan Bader.
100%.
Based on, I mean, if he's on the list, that's the one you pick. I mean,
I agree with that a lot.
So I'd love to see. I'd love to see something like that. I don't know. It's a possibility, but I'm going to keep continuing to watch Ryan Bader and how he performs in both light heavyweight and heavyweight, because I think even at the end of his career, he could come back into the UFC and make a splash in the heavyweight division as well.
Well, and that's the problem is, I wish we were able to say, yes, we can have that happen with the cross promotions, how they used to do back in the day. It could get to that point. I really hope it does, because I think it benefits everybody, because, one, the fans.
It's getting closer.
It's definitely going to give fights that 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, you couldn't have. Same time is, you don't want to let guys pass their prime. Let's think about this. Fedor never fought in UFC. It was probably good he didn't, because it might have hurt his legacy even more. But you pull a fighter from the UFC and say, hey, do you want to fight Fedor when he was 36 instead of right now when he's in his 40s?
He was 30, hell.
Or even back in the Pride days. But I'm saying, even when he came over and fought here, when he was in Strikeforce and then he went to Bellator, he's had some tough goes because Father Time caught up, let alone the guy's been through some absolute wars. Take advantage of guys in their prime when you can. Ryan Bader, absolute prime right now. Let's get somebody from the lightweight, John Jones, perfect. Have him fight him cross-promotion. Okay, win or lose whoever else. Let's use an example, a template that this can work. Do this in other divisions. Have fucking Michael Chandler from Bellator at lightweight fight Conor McGregor here, or have him fight Khabib. Have him fight somebody else to where somebody that may never get to fight that person gets the chance, so we don't miss out
on a championship level. I think that makes sense.
Championship level, not just for no reason.
Right. There's so much money to be made that I would love to see them try and do that. That would be great.
But I mean, I know that's another topic. With Ryan Bader, that's the thing that sucks for me is Ryan was in the UFC, did great, had the opportunity to leave. Bellator treated him well. He's done great at Bellator. He's a hell of a fighter. I think he's going to probably be maybe one of the top 10 greatest lightweights of all time when he finishes his career. But now being a free agent, I would love for the UFC to say, let's pony up. Let's give this guy a 3-fight.
Who's better to spend money on? What are your two thinnest divisions?
Lightweight and heavyweight. That we just talked about.
Who's this guy over here that's champion of his organization in both those divisions?
Yep.
who was a tough final or a tough champion.
Tough champion, tough 8. Well, yeah, I mean,
bring him back.
Yeah, you're not.
I'd love to see him spend money. I don't think they're going to. I think that he's plenty happy at Bellator, but I would love to see them make a stab at it.
The UFC has so many fighters on the roster. What are they? Almost at 700 fighters on the
something
roster,
like
something
that,
like that.
It's crazy.
Compared to Bellator, and the Bellator bankroll is Bellator is going to realize we have to take our giant ponies up top and pay them well, and then everybody else below we need to make incentives. With the UFC, this is our way or the highway, but just remember you're here with the biggest name, and that's not a knock to UFC. That has to be that way. That's business. The problem is we miss out on guys like Ryan Bader to come to UFC.
Or Ben Askren until now.
That's huge.
Yeah,
buddy.
So one last topic on the light heavyweight division.
Yep.
Who do you think is light heavyweight champion in the beginning of 2020?
Oh gosh. I think in an unpractical dream world, Anthony Smith holds on to the belt after beating John Jones here, which is not going to happen. So John Jones beats Anthony Smith, keeps his belt, fights one more time, somebody for the belt, continues it in to January to that 2020.
I think John Jones will
and I
fight.
hate keep bringing up his name this much for both divisions, but it's just reality from the past.
Yeah, I think John Jones will fight at least 2 or 3 top light heavyweight contenders this year, and that he will win them all. And I think he'll be the champion.
Yeah,
I think at the end of 2019 going into 2020 is when he's going to be looking at moving up to heavyweight. But I think he's going to spend this year at light heavyweight showing his dominance.
Yes. And the thing is, we can't speculate because there's a lot of light heavyweight fights coming up. But let's say he just beat Gustafsson, now he beats Anthony. Who's he going to fight next? Ian? I'm sorry, Ian is nowhere close to Anthony Smith's level.
Yeah, Dominic Reyes shooting through the through the rankings could be up there, but I mean he's going to have to.
He could fight Dominic and Johnny Walker by the end of the year, depending on how the UFC does lineups.
Right.
And the thing is, the UFC right now is not about rankings. They're not about the name and your flashiness. They want something that's going to be entertaining, and both the Dominic and Johnny are going to be very entertaining to watch. So, perfect.